everybody, unless you're watching this in the morning, in which case, good day, everybody. And that is all I'm saying, because before I even welcome everybody, I have to declare that my wife told me I said 4 times welcome to Sky on the last show. So I've been officially reprimanded. Hlohlo will welcome you.
Welcome everyone to the Premier Fantasies football show. It's good to have everyone on the line. Today we've got 2 new members, although the teams are not new. We've got James Story as well as OG Molefe, and they will tell us about their teams and which teams they're part of. Welcome, guys.
Thank you. Hello everyone. Exciting. I know my partner Barney's been on in the last episode, so we're looking forward to an interesting season between the Spurs and a Chelsea fan trying to work together. That's going to be very interesting.
Exactly.
What's the name of your team again, OG?
We are the Super Strikers, I think we are.
Lucky Strikers.
Lucky Strikers.
Lucky Strikers. Jeez, I already off.
Nothing
we're already off to a bumpy start there.
Gabriel.
Lucky Strikers. That's what we are.
Gabriel's been on lots of shows. His partner is Keegan. They are united. Look at the shirt. How annoying for all of us.
Wrong way.
And then, of course, Marcelle
and
Keegan, who are Liverpool fans. We'll get to them in a moment. But I suppose the obvious question to ask James is, James, what's your story? Being a James story. But you've got your own challenge because you are stuck with Sky Tshabalala, who's a big Manchester United fan.
Yes, that's true. So 2 big fans of 2 very opposite clubs. It's an intriguing dynamic, but we'll see how it goes. Looking forward to it.
And remind us again what the name of your team is, because I'm still trying to work around it. Like that name is just like wow.
So I always try to play like a word pun on the names. So it's You Havitz A Laugh.
Oh your God, yes.
Listen, Marcelle and Liam, I'm not so sure people in glass houses with Klopp, who's there,
hey!
not be throwing stones.
At least ours makes sense.
Well, we've got a couple of questions for you. I know that Hlohlo's got a first up question for OG, which is a good question, him being a Chelsea supporter.
Correct. Just before we fire more shots, OG, I wanted to ask you, in terms of your predictions, I mean, you know that Chelsea has bought quite a couple of players. If you had to...
All the players.
Yeah,
everybody.
Look, we're in trouble. Let's be honest. We're in serious
They've done like a Reggie's Toy Rush, but with football players across the world.
Listen, I was waiting to hear that we've signed Messi until La Liga got in the way and bottled that transfer. But yeah, we've gone on a shopping spree of note. I'm just still waiting for us to get a goalkeeper. That's all I want for the season. Now that we've got everyone we wanted. But it's going to make it interesting because we can only have 3 Chelsea players in the team. So I figured my strategy will then be cover sort of all 3 areas of the field. So with the defenders, I will pick Thiago Silva. Great experience, has played, in the biggest competitions in the world. And I think he'll fit in well. If you look at the way our defenders played last season, he will definitely be a welcomed addition. Then in the midfield, I'll go for Kai Havertz. I mean, I'm looking forward to what he's going to do. I think he's going to set the Premier League alight, and definitely he's going to go straight into my team. And up front, I will put Timo Werner, the super scoring machine, who's probably going to give us lots and lots and lots of points this season.
Okay, well, that is all very well. It's very wishful thinking, but I've actually got Barney on the line, and he says, "No, you're not. I'll be talking later." In fact, he said, "You must be Havitz A Laugh."
I must also tell you that for the longest time, I thought Timo Werner was a team in the Tour de France.
Yeah. Well, that is a challenge for all of us in the media to keep up to date, and we'll all appreciate that, to keep up to date with the changes and the names. As you know, Terry Payne never mastered that art, ever. I can tell you what he used to call people like Bergkamp never came out, and his best one was, Aubameyang was...
You mean Aubameyang?
Yes,
Oh.
he got that all completely wrong. So it is a challenge. The older you get to pronounce all these names. I'm going to come back to Liam.
Doesn't matter anymore.
But I wanted to ask, because actually OG's been very helpful, because he's given his opinion on 3 players that he would like to see in his combined team. I mean, that's the other thing, folks, if you're watching. You, as a person who's going to enter our league, can enter as an individual. You don't have to be a team like we are, but you're going to challenge the team. And our plan of action is to see whoever's doing well on the log, we will welcome as a special guest on this show. And if you're doing really badly, we're also going to get you on the show. So I suppose partly humiliate you and make ourselves look a bit better. But I want to go to James up top there. James, give us a banker. Player, not necessarily from your team, but who's the first name on your team sheet? Value for money and all of that.
So it's going to sound like I'm being biased, but for me, it's a no-brainer. The money might be an issue for some people to fit him in the team, but it has to be Trent Alexander-Arnold. On crosses, on free kicks, is basically a midfielder in the game as a defender. So clean sheets, you name the lot, he's got it in his bag. That's my banker.
Okay, I'm sure Marcelle and Liam will agree, but I'm wondering if the man below you will.
Very difficult to argue against that.
Gabriel, will he be on your team sheet being a Manchester, or do you actually leave that at the door? Do you leave your bias and your obviously dislike of Liverpool behind before you play Fantasy League?
I think it's more than dislike, but let's leave it at that. But you have to leave it at the door. Trent is a fantastic pick. I myself, the number one option that I'd have in my team, also definitely not biased, because it's Mo Salah. He's unbelievable, great goal scorer. And if I'm not mistaken, he's had the most Premier League goals in the past, 2 seasons or so, some statistic like that, or very close to something like that. And he starts off very well as well in the Premier League. So he has to be my number one pick.
So Liam, do you agree with Gabriel's pick? Do you agree with his selection, or are you going to go differently?
I would probably still go Trent Alexander-Arnold. It's for reasons that have already been outlined. I mean, the guy just brings so much to the table. And that's no slight on Mo Salah, because he will score goals. But I also suspect that the whole Mo Salah, Sadio Mane thing may come to a head this season. Both can sort of drop their heads in games from time to time. And there might be a bit more rotation this year, because I think it's going to be I know it'll be a more condensed season, so there'll be a higher rotation of players. So one of the two may miss out towards the end of the season when you look at the number of goals scored.
The other thing that I've had to learn very quickly from people like Gabriel and other people on the internet is budgeting, of course, is also very important. So in as much as I'd want to pick 5 Liverpool players, my budget won't allow. But Trent Alexander-Arnold, from the research that I've done on fantasy leagues, is actually going for a pretty good price. So in that regard, he's a good banker as well. Whereas when it comes to picking between Salah and Mane, they're both pretty expensive, so you could probably only pick one. And that's going to be, for me, that's going to be like picking a favorite child or dog in my case.
I think what's difficult at this stage is that there are a lot of players who everyone identifies are good players. I mean, there's not one person who I've spoken to who hasn't got Trent Alexander-Arnold. How are we going to differentiate ourselves from each other? What are your thoughts, OG?
I don't have him. He's not on my picks for. I'm not saying he's a bank. He's not a banker, but I think I spent too much money probably up front with the midfield and the strikers. By the time I feel my defense, I've kind of run out of cash.
Yeah.
As Marcelle said,
I had a look at OG's team. He's got Kaiser Chiefs defenders.
Listen,
I think I could because Sky is not on this show.
He's still recovering. Shame. Let him.
I've got one last question to ask you guys, but actually, first of all, because this is social media, so it's going to get personal and stuff. I've got to tell Marcelle a story. I got contacted today by a gentleman. His name's Graham Schwartz. He's living in Cape Town. He said, I loved your show, but I could not believe that Marcelle Gordon was on your show. I can't believe that she's a fantasy league Liverpool fan. He said, whenever I see her on TV, she looks so mean and tough and got a personality. So would you like to say hi to Graham? Say hi to Graham.
Hi, Graham. I'm not mean. I'm just a ball buster when I have to be.
And it's my bedtime. Cheers, guys.
Anyway, listen, before we go, we've got to tell you our banker. And again, it's not bias, like, right? Obviously it is.
Wait. Have we decided?
Well, we're going to bank a Harry Kane. Are we not? No, we're not, apparently.
I thought we were going to bank a human.
Yeah, we're going to bank a, well, I don't know.
We're going to bank a human son. That's what we're going to do.
So a Spurs player.
Very biased.
It was quite interesting.
No, he's great. He really is great.
It was
How
quite
comfortable is the couch in your household, Neil?
I'm going to find out tonight.
Okay.
The way Hlohlo says that, it was very cute. It was very confusing when our most recent son was born, because I thought she said it's a human son. And I said, well, yes, you'd expect to be giving birth to a human son.
I suspect by the end of the season, you're going to call that couch Peter.
Oh, jeez.
Let's not go there. Let's just shut OG. OG's had enough already. We're going to move on. Anyway, we wanted to end off the show. Thank you again, Marcelle. Not so much thanks to Liam, but thank you to you at the bottom for joining us. I can see who's going to be in the dog box. He's going to be in the dog box more than us.
No, we're not going to have him on anymore. Bye, Liam.
Gabriel, as always, great to have you on. Good luck with you and your team. But an extra special thanks, and great for us to have met James tonight. James Story, who will be Sky Tshabalala's teammate. And we know their Havitz A Laugh. And below us is OG and Barney, who I think is going to be a fascinating dynamic. A Spurs and a Chelsea supporter together. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, guys, thanks very much. Just in closing, Hlohlo is going to remind folks who have watched this that we will put up the league code, and we want you to play, because then we can see on our league how you're doing. And if you're doing really well or really badly, you're going to be ending up being a star on the show.
So I don't have to remind you, because my husband just did that. However, the league code is MAHL4P. Join our league, and let's have a bit of fun this season.
Cheers, everybody. Have a good evening, and we'll see you on the battlefield.
Cheers, everyone.
Yes, thank you.
Cheers, cheers.